Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to the first class of Thursday Delight. I'm Gail Schorsch. I'm founder and director of Bronx Eats. Some of you know me. I'm so pleased that you've chosen to spend part of your evening with us tonight. Um, there's still people coming in who I have to admit. A big thank you to Giselle Payne, who's here with us and who organized this 4-week series and will be leading the chat after class tonight. So please stick around for that if you can. As I see you all coming in, it's so nice to see so many new people and also so many regulars taking part in this Bronx Eats class and the growing community of Bronx Eats. So welcome again to all of you. Food is a great reason to get together, and Bronx Eats is here to bring the Bronx community what it wants. We take our cues about what classes to offer from you, and we also try to offer you dishes that you may not have thought to try. So it's a fine balance here at Bronx Eats to offer healthy traditional dishes that people know and love, and also to introduce new food cultures too. So please take a minute before the end of class to fill out the survey in the chat box to help us know what you feel and what you want. It's anonymous unless you want to give us your name, and that'll be put in the chat box at the end of class. Again, Bronx Eats is a safe place to meet, to learn, and connect with each other around food and cooking. It's a shared community gathering place where we can start to find our footing again in this new world while still living with the harsh reality of COVID. Tonight, we are trying something new. In addition to our wonderful presenter, Chef Imani Parsons, whom I'm going to introduce in a moment, we invite you to stay after class tonight to chat with Giselle Payne, who is getting her master's in public health at Andrews University and has kindly offered to host a discussion about health, COVID, food, nutrition, and anything else that is on your mind. So please stick around after class for that wonderful new opportunity. So when we come together for events like this, we send a message to ourselves and to others that our health matters to us and that we value our time together in community, that we value our local cooks and chefs, and that we're going to take care of ourselves on a personal and community level. So thank you for showing up for yourselves and for this community. A few housekeeping notes. We are recording, and you'll also be muted during the beginning of the presentation, and I'll unmute you to ask questions directly in about 15 minutes. If you prefer to use the chat box to ask your questions, that's totally fine. And now let me introduce to you Chef Imani Parsons. So Chef Imani has always been interested in nutrition, health, and wellness. She studied health science at Lincoln University. I'm just admitting more people. At Lincoln University and received a master's in human nutrition from Columbia University Institute of Human Nutrition. Community nutrition and education, along with cooking and baking, are some of Imani's passions. She currently works as a high school health and wellness teacher and founded and manages her own nutrition and baking business called Vegan Mani LLC. She's been vegan for 3.5 years, and she aims to encourage, empower, and educate people on the importance of healthy eating and living in a healthy lifestyle. If you'd like to learn more about Imani and her services, please follow her on Instagram at Vegan Mani LLC and check out her website, www.veganmani.com. And with that, I would like to say we are just so honored to have Imani here tonight, and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gail, for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. I am so happy that you have decided to take this baking class. We are going to make a recipe that's really unique, really dear to my heart, and it's definitely something that is super healthy and nutritious as well. So who doesn't like a sweet treat that's also really, really good for you? So I see that we have a lot of people on this call, which I really, really, really like. So just really quickly, I want everyone to do a little bit of an icebreaker. So I want you to say your name, and I want you to say your favorite food. We're gonna do this really, really quickly because there are a lot of people on the call. So we are gonna start with Shira. Oh, I love that name, Shira.
Good. I'm Sarah. I'm from the Bronx. I'm from Riverdale. And I can't think of a favorite food at the moment, so I'm stumped. I like food.
Hey, that's all right with us. Thank you, Shire. Moving right along to Zenadas. I'm so sorry if I've mispronounced anyone's name. Just correct me.
Is that Zenaida you're saying?
Zenaida, yes.
Yes. My name is Zenaida Kumar, and I'm from the Bayou in Riverdale. And I enjoy eating very healthy, and I like to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables.
Wonderful, amazing. You are healthy. I love it, love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now
Thank
we
you.
have, anytime, Lunice, you can unmute and share.
Eloise?
Eloise.
Yeah, my favorite food is everything but sweet blueberry tarts.
Oh, now that sounds amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Awesome. Maybena, I'm so sorry.
Mabina, you know what? Imani, you want me to just call on people?
Yes, please. That would be great.
Okay, Mabina, you're next.
Oh, hi, my name is Mabina, and my favorite food is acheke. It's a West African dish, so yeah.
West African dish. Okay, Stella, would you tell us what your favorite food is and where you're calling in from?
Hi, I'm from the Bronx, and
Excellent.
my favorite food is carrot cakes. I don't know how to bake any, but I find this recipe very interesting, so I might try it later.
Excellent, excellent. If you guys, any of you don't mind showing your faces, we would love to see them. No pressure, but we do love to see who you are. Tony, will you share with us your favorite food?
Oh shit, I'm sorry. Hi, my name is Tony. I am studying my master's degree in dietetics, and my favorite food is anything that tastes good.
Excellent. And where are you calling in from?
Oh, I mean, it's not upstate, but it's Poughkeepsie.
Okay, that counts.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, welcome. Welcome.
Thanks.
Who do we have next? Patricia.
Hi, I'm right in the window. I'm calling in from Rochester, New York, and my favorite food, I have a real weakness for Chinese dumplings.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Me too. Jennifer Kasim. Jennifer, are you there? Let's go to Charmaine.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Charmaine, and my favorite food is Haitian mango. I could eat it once a day.
Haitian mango, excellent. Jennifer, you there? We saw you, we lost you. Okay, we'll come back. Judith Satoski, are you there? Isabel, you want to share your favorite food? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Marco, you must have a favorite food. Marco's a previous presenter here with Bronx Eats. Marco Lopez, are you there? Peggy? Anybody else who hasn't shared, please share if you'd like to. Otherwise, we will get started.
Hi, this is Peggy. So I think my favorite food is something I cook every week, which is beans. I cook beans every week in my Instapot, different types, white beans, green beans, red beans, black beans.
Excellent, excellent. Can't go wrong with that. Thank you guys so much for sharing. And thank you, Imani, for that fun icebreaker. And now you're on.
Thank you so much for participating in that icebreaker. I always feel like food always connects and brings everyone together. So without further ado, let's get started with this recipe. We all know that today we are making banana, carrot, raisin, tahini bread. And this is a really, really interesting recipe. So the first thing we are going to do, well, before we get into our recipe, I do want to let you know that I have two cameras. I have a camera that is labeled Imani Parsons. That is me. This is my front view. And I also have another camera, which is Imani Parsons' second camera. So whenever I do something over here where I'm mixing things together, you're able to have a view of what I am doing. So let's get started with our recipe. The first thing that we will need to do is take our bowl with our 3 cups of whole wheat flour. We're gonna also take our carrots here, and we are gonna take our raisins. We're gonna add them to the mixing bowl with the flour, just like this. And now we're gonna take a spoon and mix it together.
I have a question. Are those grated carrots or are the carrots through the food processor?
Excellent question. These are shredded carrots. If you would like to, you can use grated carrots, but I really, really enjoy carrots. So I am using the shredded carrots in my version. And if anyone ever has any questions, please feel free to just unmute and ask your question. I really, really like questions in this class.
Excellent. And if for those of you who don't know, if you go to Imani's picture and you click on the 3 dots in the top right corner, you can pin her, and then her screen will come up as the largest screen, just in case you would like to see a bigger version of what you're seeing on the screen.
All right, so everything is mixed up in this bowl. We have our flour, we have our carrots, and we have our raisins. I am going to talk a lot about the ingredients that I am using in this recipe, but we have plenty of time to get this bread in the oven. So throughout that time when the bread is in the oven, I am going to go over ingredient by ingredient and tell you why these ingredients are so good for our body. So the next thing that we are gonna do, we are going to use a blender, and you are going to take your 2 bananas and put it right on into the blender. I actually really like using blenders for baking because it makes things so much easier. You can make smoothies in the blender, you can make different soups in a blender, and you can definitely also put all your baking materials in the blender, and it makes the process a lot easier. Now I'm adding in my 2nd banana here. Do we have any banana lovers in the house? Awesome, I see hands.
Yes.
I love bananas. I eat bananas every single morning, by the way.
Me too.
Awesome, you see I have a banana trend. Now I'm going to be adding in my cinnamon to the blender. I like to add the cinnamon to the blender because that way I know that it's getting fully mixed with everything else. I'm also going to add in my agave. We're going to talk about this a little bit more when the bread gets in the oven. Why is agave good for us anyway?
Sometimes.
Did you have a question, or was that?
I think that was just some background noise. If anyone does have a question and would rather put their question in the chat box, please feel free, and then I can ask Imani about it.
Sounds great. And now I'm adding in tahini. Tahini is actually sesame seed butter. So think peanut butter, but made from sesame seeds. It's absolutely amazing. You can use it in salad dressings. You can use it in sauces. You can use it in different cooking recipes. It really gives things a nice creamy texture. All right, my tahini's in. And now I'm going to add in 1 cup of water. The other cup of water, you're going to save that cup of water for later. Adding it right on in. Going to place my cover over the blender. For anyone who wants to know what blender I'm using a Vitamix. I love the Vitamix blender. It's a really great blender, but any blender is completely fine for this recipe. So now I'm going to mix everything up together. I am going to show you what this looks like, but I am going to briefly mute myself. I do not want to kill you all with the sound of the blender. So I'm going to just put this on the blender here, and I'm going to mute myself. And if you're cooking along with me and you need help with anything, please ask questions. You can ask questions in the chat or you can ask questions out loud. I'm just going to briefly mute myself.
Imani, I have a question. It's Shira. Hi, I don't have bananas, so I was hoping to use applesauce instead. Would that work?
You can use applesauce.
How much do you think I should use since you're using 2 bananas? How much applesauce?
Awesome question. You can use 2 cups of applesauce.
Okay. I have some homemade ones, so I figure that will be a decent substitution.
Awesome. You have to be a taste tester at the end. I'm looking for taste testers. So if you're playing along with me, we're going to all try it at the end. And I'm really interested to see how it turns out with the applesauce.
Okay. Thanks.
And there's a question, Imani, about whether you can substitute honey for the agave.
Of course you can. You can use a sweetener of your choice. Me, I really like agave. As I mentioned before, I'm going to get into that a little bit more when our bread is in the oven, but you can definitely substitute the sweetener, make the recipe your own. Now I'm going to briefly mute myself. As easy as 1, 2, 3. We literally put all the ingredients in here and we're done. So now we have a blended version of the bananas, of the agave, of the cinnamon, of all the ingredients that we put in this blender. And now you're gonna take this mixture and you are just going to add it to the bowl. Just like that.
So just for the group, you've said that agave can be, you can substitute honey or other sweeteners of your choice for agave. There are a few different people asking the same question, and it sounds like whatever sweetener you prefer is fine.
Yes, of course. You can use you can use date syrup, you can use honey, you can use maple syrup, any sweetener that you would like to use, you can feel free to add it in. Even if you're someone that doesn't really like sweets, then you can just keep it with the bananas. It just won't be as sweet, but you can just add the bananas in if you don't want to add any additional sweetener. So now I'm going to add another cup of water. This is our second cup of water that we're adding into the bowl.
Agencies that they couldn't have projects which allowed women to leave their homes.
Please make sure that you keep your cell phone mute.
Not the Afghanistan.
I think I'm going to have to mute everybody. Sorry, I'm going to see if I can mute everybody here.
All right, the next thing that we are adding in the grapeseed oil. I know that some people may have some questions about this. You may say, okay, can I substitute this with olive oil? Can I substitute this with avocado oil? Or whatever oil you would like to use, you can substitute the oil as well. So now I'm gonna add the oil into the bowl. And you're just going to mix everything together here. I really like this recipe because, as I mentioned before, it's pretty simple. It's all you're doing is just adding all these things together, putting it in a baking pan, sticking it in the oven for 35 minutes, and that is all. And I know that we have someone in here that likes carrot cake. So think of this as a banana raisin carrot cake without the icing. All right, so this is almost ready.
So now there's a question about whether you can substitute actual dates instead of the agave, not date syrup, but dates.
You can substitute dates. I would recommend that you really blend that mixture because dates can take a little bit longer to break down. So definitely throw that in the blender and just make sure that the dates are fully blended into little tiny pieces.
Yep.
Something else that's really interesting to use as well is date sugar. You can also use that if you like dates, but if you want to use just actual dates, that's completely fine. But date sugar and date syrup are usually a lot easier to bake with.
Yes. And they're great alternatives to refined sugar, right? So this is just a beautiful recipe that's, sweetened by natural ingredients without using refined sugar that we're all trying to eat less of.
Of course. And I just want to show you a little close up of what we're working with here. Look at this consistency. So as you can see, it's nice, it's smooth, it's creamy. Of course, it's not clumpy because we put that mixture in the oven. We blended it, not in the oven, I'm sorry, not yet. We put that mixture in the blender. So just adding all those things together, it just brings a big pizzazz and makes things a lot easier. And while I'm doing this, I'm gonna tell you a little funny story about how I got into baking.
Okay, Imani, one quick question before you start. So a few people are asking about the tahini. Number one, where to find it? Number two, if you can't find it, can you leave it out?
Okay, good question. Tahini can be found basically in any supermarket, but it's always usually in Whole Foods, and they also usually have it in Trader Joe's. But in any single supermarket, they usually should have it. It should be close to where the peanut butter is kept. And if you don't want to use the tahini, you can keep it out. But the thing that really makes this recipe a little bit bolder is using the tahini, because it's like a little unexpected surprise within the recipe. But if you would like to leave the tahini out, you can. But I definitely welcome you to try it one day if you want to have that introduction of that bold flavor. All right, so as I finish mixing this up, as I mentioned before, I have a story for you. Let's talk about how I got into baking in the first place. So I was waiting to start a position at a nonprofit as a nutrition educator. And I was making brownies one day. And I've never baked before, but I've always loved chocolate. And I figured, you know what, let me try to bake some brownies. So I whipped a couple of things together and I tried it and I said, this is really good. Now we're gonna add the mixture to our loaf pan. I'm using this pan right here. Sorry for my story interruption. I'm gonna jump right back into it. And after I made it, I knew that I needed someone else to try this recipe out. So what I did was I called on my sister. She's one of the most honest people that I know. So she told me that this recipe was really good. And if my sister says it's good, then I know it's good. So then after that, I became literally an accidental baker. I just started mixing different things together and they just worked. And that really helped me to start my business, Vegan Mani LLC. And I'm just so grateful for that opportunity because you never know until you try something. A lot of people are afraid to bake because they're afraid that they're going to mess up. But sometimes you mess up and you create a whole new creation. So it's really important for you just to try things out. As you can see, I am putting my mixture into my little squares here.
So Imani, is it okay if somebody doesn't have exactly the kind of sort of loaf that you're using? If somebody has, a muffin pan or some other kind of pan they want to use?
Excellent question. Yes, this recipe is very flexible. If you do not have this kind of pan or you do not have a loaf pan, you can use a muffin pan. It completely will turn out the same. You're still using the same ingredients.
And there's a question about whether you put oil in the baking pan.
No, I did not put oil in the baking pan. I just put oil in the mixture. If you're concerned about it sticking to the pan, this is a non-stick pan, by the way. So it definitely makes things coming out a little bit easier. But if you're someone that is really concerned about that, you can use parchment paper to line the baking tin that you're using so it won't stick as easily and it's going to be easier for you to get that out.
And there's a question about where you bought that pan.
Excellent question. So I actually bought this pan from Michael's. Michael's has an array of different baking pans. They also have baking supplies. If you need baking boxes, they have it all. So I got this pan from Michael's, but you can also find it on Amazon. Some supermarkets have these kinds of pans as well.
Okay, and also Mabina was making a very good point that a lot of the Arab supermarkets have tahini, or halal markets, any Middle Eastern store. So it is true that sometimes in the Bronx, it's hard to find tahini, but I think if you look at some of those options, you will find it. So thank you for that, Mabina. And the last question that's come in is it possible to substitute something else for the oil in the recipe?
Mm-hmm. Very fun fact. This recipe can actually be made by the oil, without the oil. You can leave the oil out. When I was testing this recipe, one time I did it completely without the oil, and it still had a great flavor. It still had a great taste. Me personally, I like to just not use oil sometimes because I just like to experiment and try new things. So that definitely works. If you want to leave the oil out, go for it.
Excellent. And the point was also made that you can order tahini from Amazon also, because now they own Whole Foods. So
Yep.
They also have tahini, not just everything else in the world.
Exactly. So right now I am just cleaning up my baking pan here before it goes into the oven. And I want to check on Shira. How are you doing? Because I know that you're cooking with me. Other people may be cooking with me as well. So if you are, let me know in the chat. Let me know how it's going.
I'm mixing it up. It looks a little watery now that I added the second cup of water, but I guess it'll all get in here eventually.
Yes.
Okay.
And did you add the 3 cups of flour?
Yeah, I used gluten-free flours because I'm gluten-free. So I did a combination of it said gluten-free flour on it, and a little bit of oat flour.
Okay, no problem.
We'll see how it came out.
Right, the texture of gluten-free flours are yes, I can see why you have that consistency. So something that you can do is you can add a little bit of applesauce as well.
Okay.
Because applesauce can make it.
Hi, this is Peggy. Just an FYI, because I cook a lot with gluten-free.
Yeah. You have any advice?
Oh, Peggy, you got muted.
If you're cooking with gluten-free and oat flour, I would put oil in there. Don't do it without the oil. It'll be so dry.
I did put oil in it.
Okay, cool.
Did I put more in?
Well, it might be the liquid. That's the thing, because the gluten-free flour sometimes, especially the oat, it absorbs a lot of liquid. So just do a little bit, like maybe a tablespoon of water at a time, or some. Did you use the applesauce or the banana or the?
I used 2 cups of applesauce instead of the bananas, and I probably this could have used less water. I'm thinking
it could be that the applesauce is not quite as thick.
Binding, yeah.
Yeah, because she did homemade applesauce, so there might be less. I think you may want to add some moisture. I would add a little, just toggle between water and oil and see what you get.
Well, it'll be an experiment. We'll all see.
So Imani, can you tell us, somebody's asking if you can use all-purpose flour for this recipe?
You can use all-purpose flour, yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Stella, for that question.
Yes, and thank you so much for helping out, Peggy. This is a community, so if anyone wants to share any tips, me personally, I don't work with gluten-free flour a lot. That's something that is definitely on my list. So thank you so much, Peggy, for adding that in. So now I'm going to add this into the oven. This is how it looks. And this is going to be in the oven for 35 minutes. Of course, I'm going to be checking on it to see if I can take it out a little bit sooner. But as we can see, the process is pretty easy. It's really quick. It's really straightforward. And what we really get into, what we really need the most time for is adding it into the oven. So now let's take some time to talk about the ingredients that we're using.
Before you get into that, I do want to encourage you to fill out the survey that Mariama kindly put in the chat box. We really appreciate your feedback. So just between now and the time we finish up class, it'd be great if you can get to that. Thank you so much.
All right, let's start off with the first ingredient. It is nutrition time, one of my favorite times of the class. So our first ingredient that I'm going to be talking about is carrots. Who likes carrots? If you like carrots, put it in the chat. If you like carrots, give me a thumbs up. Give me something if you like carrots. Awesome. Yes, carrots are amazing. Can anyone unmute and tell me what's their favorite way to eat carrots? We have a lot of time to kill here, and I like to talk. So interact with me, unmute if you would like. How do you like to cook your carrots?
So I like to share. So for me, I like to put them in smoothies. Although it's a little rough, I don't know if it is the blender that I have. It doesn't go really smooth, but since I know the benefit of it, I like to use it. And something that I have started doing lately is to put them, cut them in big chunks and put season it with some olive oil and put them in the my air fryer, kind of like French fries, but in a healthier way. So that's something that I have been addicted to lately.
You can roast them in the, you can roast them in the oven too that way, even if you don't have an air fryer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, that is wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to unmute and tell me how they like their carrots?
Yeah, hey everyone. I like to eat it with ranch. That's not the healthiest thing, but or sometimes I'll juice them, or we have this thing where we'll make like jollof fries, but it's really boiled down and it kills all the ingredients, but I'll steam it and have it with like jollof.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So let's talk about carrots. Carrots are actually, they actually include beta carotene. I'm not sure if anyone has ever heard of that. Beta carotene is absolutely amazing and it's super good for our bodies. And it is also what gives carrots this bright orange color. And it's also the property in carrots that make carrots a great food to eat for healthy eyesight. There's actually research out there that links eating a lot of carrots, eating a lot of foods that are high in vitamin A and beta carotene to having great eyesight. So carrots are definitely something that you want to have. And speaking of carrot smoothies, whoever said that, on the back of this bag, there's actually a carrot smoothie recipe. Isn't that super, super funny? So thank you for bringing that up. I might have to try a carrot smoothie pretty soon. We're moving into our next ingredient, agave. Agave. Agave, I really like agave. Agave is a great sweetener. One of the reasons why I like agave is because it's low on the glycemic index scale. So what that means is it doesn't spike your blood sugar levels as high as regular sugar would. Actually, when I cook my own baked goods for my business with agave, I've noticed that people that even have diabetes can eat my baked goods and they won't feel really bad after eating it because of that low glycemic index that it has on the scale. And agave is something that can be easily added into recipes because if you can see, it's literally like a syrup. If anyone wants to know where agave comes from, it comes from a plant.
Or eggplant with your...
Oh, okay. I thought there was a question. All right. Moving on to our next ingredient. Our next ingredient that we use in this bread recipe is tahini. So has anyone ever used tahini before? You can just unmute. You can tell me what you use tahini with. Anybody? Nobody used tahini before?
I never used that.
Wait, did I see a hand?
I do, yes. I use it in salad dressings. I use it to make sauces. What else? I use it to make hummus.
Here we go.
Awesome, nice.
I like it a lot.
Thank you for sharing that. I use tahini in salad dressing as well. It's really, really great in salad dressing because it's really nice and creamy. I've even used this in brownies. Brownies are my thing. I love making vegan brownies. So I literally add anything to my vegan brownies. And tahini, I've definitely experimented with that before. Tahini is high in vitamins and it's also high in minerals. And this is, it's also high in antioxidants as well. And antioxidants are good because it helps us fight off the germs, the things that make us sick. It helps us combat that. So we definitely want to make sure that we're getting antioxidants in our diet. Hence, tahini has antioxidants. Now we're moving on to the type of flour that I used. If anyone wants to know where I got this flour from, I did get it from Whole Foods. There is a Whole Foods close in my community, but you can get whole wheat pastry flour anywhere. You can get it from your local supermarket. So that's something that you can definitely find. Whole wheat pastry flour is awesome because I'm a really big advocate for whole wheat. When we think about carbs, especially right now in society, carbs get a really bad rep. And I'm here to tell you that carbs are good for you. Carbs are good for you. I'm going to say that one more time. Carbs are good for you.
Good for you, yes.
Yeah. Can everyone say with me? You don't have to unmute, but just say,
yes.
Carbs
Carb is good for you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I love the enthusiasm. So, carbohydrates that's literally your body's number one energy source. Number one. So if we're not eating carbs, that means that our body has to tap into other energy sources that we're not meant to tap into. Our body loves carbs, but where people get caught up in is the type of carb. So when you have carbs, you want to make sure that you're eating a lot of whole grains. So usually those are things that are brown. So things that are whole wheat, things like brown rice, things like whole wheat pasta, all those things are really good. But I'm also a really big advocate for moderation as well. I believe that eating healthy doesn't mean that you take foods away from your culture or take away foods that you really love. So if you like white rice, there's a place for that in your diet as well. Maybe you won't eat it every single day and you'll make sure you're eating whole grains as well. But I'm an advocate for enjoying food too. But when it comes to whole grains, we do need whole grains because it gives us that energy, the energy that we need. So we're able to be productive. So we're able to be on the go. So we're able to keep moving. So please make sure that you're eating your whole grains. You can eat your whole grains, but you also don't have to give up your white rice. If you like white rice, enjoy it. Life is short. Food is meant to be enjoyed, but just keep that in mind. Keep in mind having whole grains and adding it to your diet.
And a small portion, not big portion if you don't want to get too much carbohydrate in the food.
Say it one more time.
No, I say a small portion, and so it's good to get it. Like, let's say if we eat rice, like 1 cup or half cup, not every plate.
Yes, so everything in moderation. That's a great one, Candida, that you don't necessarily have to cut it out of your diet, but eating it in a smaller amount may be helpful to your, your balance, having a balanced diet.
Yes.
Somebody's asking about if you can speak a little bit about spelt flour, Imani?
Of course, and I'm actually going to show you something. I'm actually going to show you something here. So, literally, when I make my baked goods for my business, I use spelt flour. I literally use spelt flour in everything. I use spelt flour in my brownies. I use spelt flour in my cookies. I chose to use whole wheat pastry flour with this recipe because that is what I tested it with, and I really liked the consistency. But spelt flour is really, really great. But the thing about spelt flour is it can be a little bit more dense. So if you're working with spelt flour, you may want to add in a different kind of flour to loosen it up a little bit so it won't be as tough. And now I just want to take some time to talk about why spelt flour is so amazing. If you look at this package right here, it's going to be really small to see, but I'm going to try to zoom in. This literally says 100% whole grain. I'm going to zoom in all the way. 100% whole grain in this flour. And this has 35 grains of whole grain per serving, which is absolutely amazing. And this is actually an ancient grain. So this grain has been around for years and years and years and years and years. So this is definitely something that's really, really great for your diet. It's a good source of fiber. And it's also a really, really great source of whole grains. So if you want to use spelt flour with this recipe, I say go for it. But you may need to add in something else just to loosen it up just a little tiny bit. I hope I answered your question. If you want me to expand more on something, please put it in the chat.
Hi, sorry to interrupt, but I saw that some people were having problem with the survey. Can you try? I'm just gonna post it again and open it and see if you can access it now. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Did you guys hear what I said?
Yes, thank you, Mariama. Imani, that's fine. That's just a technical glitch. We're working on it, but please continue.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to make sure that no one was getting left behind. No one ever gets left behind in my class. So let's talk about oils. I know some people like oils, some people don't like oils, but oils, especially plant-based oils, that is a really, really great source of a healthy fat. So I just want anyone to stream out and say, what is your favorite oil to cook with? What is your favorite oil to cook with? I know everyone has a preference. I'm looking at everyone.
Olive oil and also avocado oil is the one that I use most of the time.
Nice. Anybody?
Also, I have sometimes the rice I like to put coconut. To the rice, I like to put coconut oil because it tastes better.
Oh, I've
The
never.
rice, white rice.
Okay, those are great options. Olive, we got coconut, we got avocado. So those are all great oils, right?
Grapeseed oil.
Yep.
Who said that?
Charmaine.
Didn't you like bananas too?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Peggy. I use grapeseed. I use grapeseed to cook.
We have another vote for
Peggy.
Peggy is saying
Awesome,
she
Peggy.
also likes grapeseed.
Yay, grapeseed oil team. I love all of the other oils that you mentioned as well. So grapeseed oil is a great oil to cook with. As I said before, when you're cooking with oils and you're baking with oils, you want to use plant-based oils because those are sources of healthy fat. Fat gets a bad rep in the diet as well, but you do need some sort of fat to be healthy and to function. Your body needs just a little bit of fat. So you want to make sure you're eating healthy fats like nuts, healthy plant-based oils, and even avocado is considered a healthy fat.
I have a question. Do you use this oil for any kind of food or just for some sweet stuff, for some baking? Do you cook with that oil or?
Excellent question. So I do cook with grapeseed oil and I also bake with grapeseed oil as well. That is my favorite oil to use.
I'm going to try. I never used that one.
Try it. It gives it a really interesting flavor for sure. So I do like using it, and you don't need to use a lot of it as well.
All right. Thank you.
And now let's.
Yeah, this is Peggy. I concur 100%. I use it for baking for that, but I saute. I don't fry food, so I don't know how it fries.
Okay, so we have another endorsement of grapeseed oil.
Yes, thank you, Peggy, for sharing that. And you said you don't know how it fries. I actually have fried something in grapeseed oil before. I really like fried oyster mushrooms. Has anyone ever tried that? Can we talk about that for a second? Anyone? No?
What did you say?
Fried oyster mushrooms.
I know I love mushroom, but to be honest, I don't know the kind.
Okay, no problem.
I like it, but I never fry. I never try fry.
Awesome. Well, that's something, it's really, really great. And as I said, I am an advocate for moderation. I love fried oyster mushrooms, and I actually use grapeseed oil. So that is something that is really good to fry it in as well. So now I want to talk a little bit about raisins. So does anybody like raisins in here? Anyone, any raisin lovers? All right, I see some hands up. I see a thumbs up. Awesome. Great use of the Zoom features there. Awesome. Yes. So raisins are very small, but they're very mighty. So they're naturally sweet, which is really great. So when you're adding it to recipes such as this, it gives it a little bit more, a little bit more sweetness, but it's coming from a natural place. So it's a great addition. And it also has fiber. Fiber is really great because fiber keeps us full. When I was in grad school, my professor used to always say that, fiber full, fiber full, fiber full. So it's really good if you're eating a lot of fiber in your diet, because then you won't be as hungry as much. And fiber is also really good for you. And it's also good for digestion as well. So you want to make sure you get your fiber in. And another fun fact about raisins is that it can also possibly help out with your iron levels. And as I alluded to before, it can help with your digestion because of the fiber that it contains. So as you can see, this recipe literally has so many amazing ingredients in here that are really, really great for your health. So I really just advise everyone to stop putting vegetables in a box. You can put vegetables in so many different things. Vegetables do not just have to be a side dish. You do not only have to put vegetables in a salad. You can literally bake with vegetables. You can put vegetables in a smoothie. You can put vegetables in a juice. Vegetables are amazing. You can literally put it on anything and it can be the most amazing thing ever. So I want to challenge each and every one of you to start, make sure that you're getting your vegetables in and also have fun with it. A lot of times we're walking through the supermarket and we see a vegetable that looks really, really different. And we may say to ourselves, I don't know if I want to try that. Like, I don't know what I can even do with this. And the internet is a really amazing place. It has so much information that we can use. So if you see something that you're not really used to seeing, you can look it up and you can see what you can do with that vegetable. But I definitely want everyone to push themselves outside of their comfort zone. Vegetables are not just for one thing. You can literally use it with everything. So with that being said, I want to talk about vegetables a little bit more. So can you unmute or put in the chat, what are some of your favorite vegetables and what do you like to use vegetables with? So do you put vegetables on salads? Do you put vegetables on sandwiches? Maybe you make vegetable smoothies. Give me some really creative ideas.
Mm-hmm. I like the mixed vegetable. That's one that come all together, the green one mixed. And also, it can be the espinaca. Sometimes I buy the espinaca like by themselves because I feel like they can stay longer. Like they don't get that damaged that fast. And I use sometimes like if I do a scrambled egg, I put a vegetable inside the scrambled egg, like to make a wrap, like when I want to prepare something fast, I do that. Also, I like in salad, like I put it together like with cucumber or with tomato, a different kind of vegetables, so celery. And I make like the green salad, and the sauce that I make is like natural. I only put like 4 things, like olive oil, a little salt, and vinegar, apple vinegar, and also I put a little bit basin, and I feel like it tastes good like that. Is
raisins, excellent as a sweetener. That's just what Imani was saying. So there's some other people in the chat. Thank you, Candida, so much for sharing that. It sounds like you make some delicious food for yourself. Other people, Mariama is saying she uses them in soups, in stews, in salads, and smoothies. And Eloise is sharing that all vegetables, she grills them, she roasts them. So it sounds like you have people in the audience who are quite familiar with vegetables, but I love what you said, Imani, about buying things that you may not be familiar with and trying new vegetables that you may not know how to cook by checking the internet. And of course, it's a great segue to say that's one of the reasons that Bronx Eats was started, so that you can come to Bronx Eats and learn how to cook vegetables that maybe you wouldn't buy if you saw them in the supermarket. And then you learn here how to use them. And when you see them in the supermarket, you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make that dish that I learned at Bronx Eats. So just wanted to get that out there. And Imani, we're gonna wrap it up soon. So if you have a few more questions, please put them in the chat before Imani finishes.
Yes, definitely. I really love questions. So do not be afraid to ask me questions that you may have at all.
And the survey is working. The link to the survey is working. So if you don't mind going back to that and please filling that out, we would really appreciate that.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, please.
What are you using to hold up your other phone? I know that's so.
Excellent question. I am a very creative person. So I'm still waiting for my tripod to come in. So I'm using a tiny stand, and that tiny stand is actually on top of a, what do I call it? On top of a jar to hold up my other phone. So I'm someone, as you can see, I make do with what I have. So that is what I'm using my phone to hold up.
Yes, well, it looks great, and we have this, ability to see you and also the food that you're making. So we really appreciate that.
Anytime. You have to be creative. Any other questions? I love questions. It can be about nutrition. It can be about me personally. It can be about anything. We do have a little bit more time. So
yeah, Imani, maybe you can share with us a little bit about the work that you're doing now, because you're just doing such important work at a time when nutrition is really, we've learned so much because of COVID, how important it is for us to eat healthy and take care of our bodies and really be able to fight this virus. So could you tell us a little bit about what you're doing professionally?
Of course, definitely. So in my business, Vegan Money LLC, I've been working with a lot of different clients from a lot of different walks of life and just like different races and cultures. And we've been really working with them on their nutrition related habits. So I do take a holistic approach when it comes to nutrition, because I have a degree in health science, and I also have a master's in nutrition. So I put two of those things together, because a lot of times when we're talking about food, you can't leave out other elements. You can't leave out your physical activity. You can't leave out your spiritual health. You can't leave out your financial health. You can't leave out how you're sleeping. So all those things need to work together in order for you to become the healthiest version of yourself. I've also done some virtual workshops. Earlier, when COVID first started, I literally had a workshop about immunity. So what foods can we eat to boost our immune system? I do a lot of different virtual talks. I like doing those talks on Instagram, and I also do those talks for different companies. And another thing that recently happened is that I became a health and wellness teacher for a charter school in Newark, New Jersey. And I work with high school students. Right now, our theme is mental health, because mental health is really, really important right now. When you think about COVID-19, when you think about how people are dealing with this area of being in isolation, not having the things that they used to be able to have and to go to. So we've been focusing in on that area. And I've been teaching the students about how to regulate their emotions. They're even working on an emotion regulation guide right now for teenagers, which I will use to show that to the incoming freshmen next year. So I'm super excited about that. And what I'm going to do with my health and wellness program next year, because I am the first health and wellness teacher at this charter school, I'm going to expand it to include all elements of wellness. So I'm going to be talking about nutrition, of course, because I love to talk about food. I can talk about food all day. But I'm also going to be talking about financial wellness. I'm also going to be talking about spiritual wellness. I'm going to be talking about environmental wellness. Everything that's within that wellness wheel, we are going to hit on it. So something that I really do want to talk about is the importance of health. A lot of times we take our health for granted, and we wait until it's too late to make health related changes. I am here to tell you that you need to start working on your health now. It's so important. You cannot buy your health. You cannot rent your health. You definitely can't get it on Amazon and have it here the next day. So it's really important that you take control of your health. I want everyone to be healthy. I want everyone to be the healthiest and best version of yourself. And health looks different for everyone. So I'm not saying I'm personally vegan. I've been vegan for 3.5 years, but I work with clients who are not vegan. And I understand that that's not a way that everyone wants to go. But I do understand that everyone has a way of living that is optimal for them and healthiest for them. So I encourage you to challenge yourself to find what that is. And I also want you to challenge yourself to find your why. Why do you want to become healthier? A lot of times our reasons are often for vanity. We want to lose weight, or we want to look like this, or we want to do this or do that. It needs to be something deeper than that. It needs to be that you may want to break generational health curses in your family. Me personally, I come from a family where there's people with diabetes, there's people that suffer from obesity. I've even had family members that have had cancer. A lot of these diseases are nutrition-related diseases. So if you're eating healthy, if you're working out, if you're taking care of your spiritual health, if you're taking care of your environmental health and even financial health, because that does play a role into your overall health, you can definitely combat those things and decrease your chance of those nutrition-related diseases. So health is so important. Health is amazing. It's wonderful. And I just really want everyone to be healthy. That's what it's all about. It's all about eating healthy foods, trying new things, baking with vegetables. That's all it's about.
Excellent.
So keep that in mind.
Imani, we are so grateful for all of your wisdom and all of your holistic thinking. You know, we definitely know that eating fruits and vegetables is the best medicine of all, and that consuming real healthy food instead of processed food strengthens our bodies and our immune systems and moods, just like you were saying. And it's so nice to have desserts that we can include in that list of things that we can enjoy. So diet is really critical to preventing and even reversing many chronic diseases, including heart disease and diabetes. So we really are here to learn together how to make better food choices. We're going to do this for yourself, for your family, for the planet, and it's not out of reach. You know, we've spent only an hour together, and Imani has so beautifully shown us what we can do when we come together in community and learn from each other. And as Imani likes to say on her website, health is wealth. So thank you again for joining us tonight. Please stick around for a chat with Giselle Payne, which will be starting right away after I say goodbye. If you choose not to stay, we hope to see you again next week for Jasenia Gomez's yuca and sweet potato fritters. Yum, yum, yum. Same time, same place. Just make sure to register if you haven't already. And please tell your friends. The flyer was put in the chat box, but I will definitely be sending out a reminder. So please don't worry about it if you didn't get to open that. Eat real food, stay healthy, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, Imani. We're really grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. It was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Thank you so much for coming. I hope to see you in the other classes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Thank you so much, Imani. This was excellent.